Put the gun down, Will.
I don't believe you.
Really?
Honestly, kid, you don't give a shit.
I want to see my family.
I don't have your family.
Who does?
I want to get more involved in this right now. But I need your help.
I just want to save my family.
So, certainly think we owe you something.
Wait, sit down.
The story begins with Will arriving in Spain, excited to reunite with his family after a long-awaited vacation. His father, Martin, warmly greets him, and the two head toward the boat waiting for them. On the way, Will receives a call from work but politely declines, not wanting to disturb his father. When they arrive, Will is greeted by his mother, Lori, his younger brother Josh, and Josh's girlfriend, Dara. Everyone is happy to finally be together. The family gathers around the table for a special dinner. The two brothers reminisce about their childhood, marked by frequent moves due to Martin's job. Lori is overjoyed to have the family together, and they toast to the meaningful evening. Laughter fills the room when Josh shares a funny memory about Will. However, the joyful mood fades when Will receives a troubling phone call. His expression turns serious, and silence falls over the table. He reveals that his company has just gone bankrupt, making the atmosphere tense. Will becomes anxious about the future. After dinner, he goes to the beach alone to calm his mind. In a heartfelt conversation, he apologizes to his father for the troubles he is facing, and Martin expresses his sorrow, understanding how difficult this situation is for his son. The next day, the family sets out on the boat. Will keeps glancing nervously at his constantly ringing phone. Though reluctant, he helps steer the yacht, but his focus falters. When Martin urgently asks him to take control, a motorboat suddenly speeds toward them. Distracted, Will fails to notice the approaching danger. The yacht is pushed off course by the wind, narrowly avoiding a serious collision that injures Kadira. Amid the chaos, Will's phone rings again. Frustrated, Martin throws it into the sea, igniting a heated argument between father and son. Angry and frustrated, Will jumps into the water and swims toward town, seeking a moment of peace. He stops at a pharmacy to buy antiseptic for Dara's injury, grabs a drink to cool off, and stands silently, staring out at the ocean. Meanwhile, Martin begins to worry when he notices a suspicious speedboat reappear and realizes the family yacht is missing. Will asks locals on Sandy Beach for help, but the rapid Spanish leaves him confused. Determined, he wades further into the surf and approaches a group of young people, yet their words are just as unintelligible as the crashing waves. Anxiety grows as he fears his family may have left him behind. He walks along the beach searching for a vantage point and, under the moonlight, spots the yacht drifting alone. Climbing aboard, he immediately senses something is wrong. The power is out, and his family is nowhere to be found. Desperate, Will heads to the police station for help. Inside, officers are distracted, playing cards, barely acknowledging him, which only deepens his frustration. Finally, he speaks with the harbor master. Upon hearing Will's name, the man grows concerned, makes a call, and quickly asks Will to show where the yacht ran aground. That night, Will accompanies the police to the location where the yacht was last seen. Suddenly, a mysterious man appears, claiming to know Will and offering help in finding his family. Sensing danger, Will tries to run, but the officers block his path. He fights back, breaks free, and seizes a police car. With sirens blaring behind him, he speeds into the darkness. The pursuit ends when he is trapped and crashes the vehicle. The officers rush in and begin beating him. Just when it seems hopeless, Martin appears, taking down the attackers and saving his son. Shaken and grateful, Will immediately asks about his mother and Josh. Martin, however, has no answers. With a heavy heart, he confesses a shocking secret. He was once a CIA agent, and his past has resurfaced, placing the family in danger. He apologizes repeatedly and promises to reunite the family safely. Martin receives an urgent message from a mysterious CIA contact, requesting an immediate meeting. Without explaining the full details, he takes Will to a secure safe house, a hidden location meant for their protection. He instructs Will to drive to the meeting point where Captain Carrick awaits, unaware that a sniper has already taken aim from a distance. Before leaving, Martin reassures his son, telling him to stay in the car and expressing how proud he is of him. Martin meets with Captain Carrick, his suspicion growing over the escalating danger. He explains that their enemies have kidnapped the family, threatening to kill them if the briefcase isn't returned within 24 hours. Carrick informs him that the briefcase has vanished, leaving Martin desperate for a solution. As he returns to the car, tragedy strikes. A sniper's bullet finds him and he collapses, fatally wounded. Shocked and heartbroken, Will crawls to his father, tears streaming down his face. Seizing the moment, the merciless sniper Gorman aims at Will, but the young man quickly grabs Martin's gun and phone. With adrenaline fueling him, Will flees, narrowly escaping Gorman and his men. While fleeing through the city, Will encounters a police officer. Spotting the gun in Will's hand, the officer raises his weapon, prepared to arrest him. Before the confrontation can escalate, Gorman fires, fatally striking the officer. In the chaos, other police quickly respond, neutralizing Gorman. Will doesn't stop. He keeps running as more officers arrive, sprinting toward a tall fence. Summoning the last of his strength, he leaps over it, finding temporary refuge in a nearby park. Still pursued, a mounted police officer spots him, initiating a tense chase. Will narrowly escapes, eventually hiding in a public restroom to catch his breath and regain his composure. After catching his breath, Will blends into the crowded streets, wearing a hat and sunglasses. He discreetly discards the gun and manages to arrange being taken into custody right at the U.S. Embassy. Inside, he explains to an official about his father's death and the danger facing his family. The official doubts his story and advises Will to get a lawyer. During their conversation, the official's phone rings, hinting at a call connected to Will. Frustrated and uncertain, Will leaves the embassy. Outside, he notices Carrick waiting in a car. She claims to be a friend of Martin's and appears knowledgeable about Will. Hesitant but desperate to save his family, Will agrees to go with her. As the car moves, Carrick probes about Martin's connection to the mysterious briefcase. Will begins to suspect her motives. Pretending to feel ill, he jumps out of the car and disappears into the crowd. Boarding a bus to flee the city, he clutches Martin's phone tightly. The phone rings again. It's the same man. Will's heart sinks when he hears his mother's voice asking for Martin. With immense pain, Will must tell her that Martin is dead. His mother breaks down in tears while the man on the other end remains indifferent, focused only on the briefcase. Determined to save his family, Will reaches out to one of his father's old friends, Diego. Diego arranges for Will to meet his niece, Lucia, at his office. Will arrives, gun in hand, cautious of potential threats. Lucia appears anxious, sensing the tension. Suddenly, an agent appears, and Lucia lunges at Will with a knife. Will reacts instantly, joining the struggle. In the chaos, the attacker is stabbed in the back, but continues to fight briefly before collapsing from exhaustion. Still on edge, Lucia points her gun at Will, mistaking him for a threat to Diego. Will quickly explains the perilous situation, convincing her to assist him in locating Diego. Reluctantly, she agrees, and together they head to Diego's apartment. Approaching the door, they notice it is already ajar. Will draws his gun, moving cautiously inside. Inside, they find Diego's body on the floor. Will holds Lucia close, keeping her quiet to avoid attracting attention. Hearing faint sounds from the kitchen, Will investigates and is shocked to find Carrick and Gorman waiting. Will aims his gun at them, demanding answers about his father's death. Carrick calmly explains that Martin had intended to return the briefcase to the enemy, making him a target. She offers to help Will locate his family, but only if he reveals Martin's other connections related to the briefcase. Suddenly, Lucia opens fire, triggering a chaotic shootout. Will and Lucia flee with Carrick and Gorman close behind, escalating the deadly chase. Will and Lucia sprint to the rooftop, only to find themselves trapped with no clear escape route. Thinking fast, Will rigs a rope to lower Lucia safely down the side of the building. As she descends, Gorman fires, hitting Will in the shoulder. Lucia lands safely and is assisted by a passerby, while Will struggles to hold the rope, evading gunfire before finally falling to the ground. Despite his injury, they regroup and manage to get into a car, continuing their desperate flight. Will's wound worsens as Carrick catches up, leading to a dramatic car crash. Just as Carrick prepares to take the final shot, a group of bystanders inadvertently blocks her line of fire, giving Will and Lucia a narrow window to escape once more. Lucia quickly ferried Will to a nearby nightclub, insisting on finding someone with medical expertise. At first, her friend hesitated, unsure about intervening, but after persistent pleading, she agreed and summoned a small team to help. They examined Will's shoulder wound, unable to locate the bullet, and resorted to aggressive treatment to stop the bleeding. Exhausted and in pain, Will lost consciousness and woke several hours later, extremely weak. While Will rested, Lucia rifled through Martin's phone and discovered a photo. Shocked, she listened as Will confirmed that Martin had died. Then she dropped a bombshell. She had known Martin under a different identity, Tom. He wasn't just Will's father, he was also her father. Will and Lucia boarded a train bound for the site where the briefcase exchange was believed to occur. Though still reeling from the revelations about his father's hidden life, Will insisted on going alone, and Lucia reluctantly agreed, promising to stay at the nightclub and assist if needed. Upon arriving, Will cautiously surveyed the area for any sign of the contact. Suddenly, a mysterious man appeared beside him, instructing him to act normal and follow. Despite his wariness, Will complied. He was ushered into a car and seated in the front. Nervously, he pressed the man for information about his family, but before he could get answers, the man grabbed Will by the throat, choking him into unconsciousness. When he awoke, Will was tied to a chair, enduring repeated blows that left him disoriented and in pain. Struggling to make sense of his dire situation, Will desperately tried to explain to his captors that his father, Martin, was already dead, but the leader, Zahir, revealed himself to be a rogue agent with a larger agenda. He explained that the elusive briefcase was a key piece in a complicated operation to expose a corrupt CIA operative, Martin himself. Will argued that his father had been framed, a pawn in a CIA and KX scheme designed to cover up wrongdoing and erase any trace of the truth. Zahir, however, delivered a crushing revelation. Will's family was still being held hostage, their survival tied directly to the briefcase. Determined to intervene before Carrick could claim the briefcase, Zahir ordered Will to lure her out, warning that failure would mean his family falling into the wrong hands. Without further warning, Zahir violently threw Will from the vehicle, leaving him with a gun just outside the city limits, battered and uncertain. Back at Lucia's nightclub, Will and Lucia quickly regrouped, urgently discussing a plan to draw out Carrack. The nightclub owner, a loyal ally of Diego, overheard their conversation and offered his assistance. Lucia devised a clever strategy. She would use her access card to create a digital trail, baiting Carrack into a trap. Minutes later, Gorman arrived, immediately recognized by the owner and his friends. A fierce fight erupted. Though Gorman was a formidable fighter, the group eventually subdued and captured him. In the nightclub basement, they interrogated Gorman about the briefcase and the planned exchange, but he remained silent. Frustrated, Will forced harsher measures, pushing Gorman to reveal information. Later, they staged a fake escape, hoping Gorman would lead them to Carrack. Lucia waited in a car as Will pursued Gorman when he fled in a separate vehicle. Gorman rendezvoused with Carrack in a shadowy alley, but Will stayed on their trail. They ended up in an underground parking garage. Will instructed Lucia to remain hidden in the car while he followed stealthily. From a distance, he observed Carrack negotiating with the group, when suddenly Zahir and his team appeared, demanding Will's surrender. Will shouted, demanding to know the location of his family. In response, Carrack executed the buyers, triggering chaos. A firefight broke out as agents opened fire. Amid the confusion, Gorman grabbed the briefcase and tried to escape in a waiting car, but Will chased and engaged him, fighting fiercely until Agent Moss intervened, shooting Gorman. Lucia then crashed her car into Gorman's vehicle, leaving him severely injured. Before they could regroup, Carrack appeared, seizing the briefcase and mocking Will as she fled. Determined, Will and Lucia pursued her. Carrack sped toward a park, attempting to lose them, but Will remained relentless. In the ensuing chaos, he collided with her vehicle, smashing into a nearby shop. As bystanders gathered, Carrack fired at them. Will and Lucia commandeered another car to escape, with Carrack still in pursuit. A high-speed chase ensued, ending with both vehicles flipping. Carrack, still holding the briefcase, advanced toward them. Will reached for his weapon, but Carrack taunted him, warning she was ready to shoot. A sudden gunshot rang out, signaling the chaos had ended. Zahir and his team swiftly secured Will, Lucia, and the briefcase, ensuring their safety. He then guided Will toward a long-awaited reunion with his family, who he had feared lost forever. During the journey, Zahir remarked that despite Martin's secretive past, he would be proud of Will's courage, intelligence, and perseverance. When the family finally came together, the scene was overflowing with emotion. Tears of relief, tight hugs, and joyful laughter filled the room. Later, they visited Lucia in the hospital, where Lori and Josh warmly welcomed her into the family fold, treating her like one of their own. However, the sense of calm was temporary. A Chinese official approached Will, handing him a passport and offering assistance to return home safely. Will remained curious about the briefcase, pressing for answers, but the official remained vague, only hinting that uncovering its full significance would require delving deeper into CIA operations. As the day came to a close, Will quietly reflected on the harrowing events, the losses, and the truths revealed about his family's hidden past, trying to process everything that had transpired. Will sat in silence, the weight of the past days pressing heavily on him. Every twist, every danger, every revelation about his father's hidden life and the threats against his family replayed in his mind. He thought of Martin, of the sacrifices he had made, and of the resilience that had kept them all alive. Though questions lingered about the briefcase and the shadowy powers behind it, Will felt a rare sense of clarity. His family was together, safe for now, and he had survived impossible odds. Taking a deep breath, he allowed himself a moment of peace, a quiet acknowledgement of courage, loyalty, and the unbreakable bonds that had carried him through the chaos. For the first time in a long while, Will felt ready to face whatever came next, armed not just with weapons or knowledge, but with the strength of family and the lessons of a journey that had changed him forever. And that is how it ended. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.